Marseille are currently in meltdown. Villas-Boas, or AVB, has spoken candidly, perhaps more than the club would prefer. Fans stormed their training center and trashed it, calls for the president to step down, and now this. AVB dismissed by the club. Hey, I'm Adrian, and I'll get you up to date on what is happening with this historic French club. We'll go through all of the context so you get a better understanding of what's happening. Of course, we won't mention every single word that has ever been spoken in the year and a half or so that AVB has been at the club, but we'll try to make the picture as clear as possible. Speaking of which, you can follow along this situation and get up-to-the-minute breaking news with OneFootball, who have kindly sponsored this video. Thank you again, OneFootball. You get a custom tailored news feed by following the clubs, competitions, and players that mean the most to you. And in doing so, you'll also have access to great videos, highlights, live streams, transfer trackers, live match tickers, and so much more. Go ahead and use the download link in the description for a free download on the operating system of your choosing, iOS or Android. And another thank you to OneFootball and you for supporting the channel. Now, to May of 2020. AVB's relationship with Marseille was solid for more or less 12 months. Pre-pandemic, he had Marseille playing some great football and managed to get them into the Champions League for the first time since the 2013-14 season via finishing second in France. Then, in May of 2020, suspicions of not everything being rosy between Marseille and AVB. First, we had AVB speaking to RMC Sport and saying the following. It was a big statement, so I'll just pull out the notable pieces. Quote, I'm going to return to Marseille on Monday to speak with Jacques-Henri Eyraud and Andre Villas-Boas about the future to see a little bit what is going to happen. The most important thing for me is to understand what is going to happen structurally. I need to better understand more or less who the people are that are going to be by my side. If Anthony and Albert Valentin will still be the people with the power or not. I have ambitions that are without geographical limitations. I still need to do Japan. I want to discover Japanese culture and Japanese football. But first, I want to understand where we are going, understand how much we have to make investments, if the club wants me, or if the club does not want me, and in that case, no problem. I just want to understand things clearly, basically, which at the end of the day, make projects good or bad. So what we can glean from that is that AVB is a Japanophile. I'm joking, but basically you got the feeling that AVB was a bit indifferent to staying with Marseille on the basis of not knowing if they being himself and sporting director Andre Villas-Boas, had the power to make decisions in regard to the transfer window, power to make decisions and the financial power behind them. Zubizarreta worked closely with AVB and was a trusted ally for the Portuguese manager at Marseille, and so you can imagine, just a couple of weeks after making these statements, Andre Zubizarreta suddenly resigning and citing that he had a difference in opinion to that of Marseille president Jacques-Henri Eyraud. That definitely put a wrench in the plans, or at least put a wrench in the relationship between AVB and Marseille even further. In the end, AVB stayed on with Marseille, citing that he wanted to experience this Champions League adventure with the club, how he loved living in Marseille, and the passion that the fans of the club had, and their support for him in particular. But despite his decision to stay, he never made any concessions on how honest he would be. In his second season, things didn't go as smoothly as the first, especially in the Champions League, where Marseille finished bottom of their group, securing just 3 points from 6 matches, scoring twice, and conceding 13 times. A poor run, or a shit run, as AVB himself said following Marseille's 3-0 loss to his former club, Porto. Quote, we cannot do anything. It's a shame this shit happens to Marseille. This is our course in Champions League history. To be weak and shit in the Champions League, you have to at least qualify for the Champions League. We're here, and we're doing shit. And domestically, things haven't been as successful as last season either, despite Marseille playing 2 matches fewer than most of the league. Assuming they won those 2 matches, they would move up to about 5th, but there are no guarantees of that, of course. So they sit in 9th currently, that's what we can judge them on. Under any other circumstances, this wouldn't be sack-worthy, but then January of 2021 comes around, and Friday, January 29th, AVB says that Marseille's recent form was, quote, disastrous, and that he didn't expect his contract to be renewed upon it running out in June of 2021. And going further, he said, quote, it looks like the end. I think it'll all be over in June. I'm demanding nothing because looking at where we are, it wouldn't be right. And I think everyone agrees with that. I can't see an extension materializing. We're 13 points off the top. The place needs a clear out, including myself. Unless I get 10 straight wins, then maybe not. but I'm responsible for the results, and right now, they're awful. Now, you could look at that as AVB being completely unprofessional or as refreshingly honest. Two sides to every coin. Personally, I don't mind his honesty. Maybe his time away left him feeling as if he wants to approach things with absolute transparency from here on out. Doesn't want to play the managerial media game. But you also have to be fair with him and highlight that despite saying these things, he also said that he wouldn't give up. He would keep trying to bring positive results, but didn't shy away from the fact that they were on a terrible run. Clearly, something he hasn't shied away from stating. Less than 24 hours after these statements, a group of increasingly outraged Olympique Marseille fans ended up storming Marseille's training facility. This would be Saturday, January 30th, and as the local police stated, quote, 300 OM supporters violently attacked police officers present to secure La Commanderie, the training center. Not a good look whenever this happens. Definitely reminded me of a similar sort of situation regarding sporting. But anyway, some of the players were present. None of them were said to have been harmed, nor the staff there, though they did receive threats. Those injured were mostly police officers and security guards, while the club estimated that there was, quote, several hundreds of thousands of euros, end quote, of damage done via theft and vandalism. 25 arrests were made, though the club alleged that they have proof against hundreds of the fans that stormed the facility. The fans were calling for the resignation of club president Jacques-Henri Eyraud, with one banner reading, JHD, Marseille vomits you, a poetic way of illustrating just how they want to be rid of him. Another banner read, Eyraud, you are dirtying our club, get lost, and the much simpler, Eyraud out. The classic. Safe to say, much of the disdain that was expressed from the fans, if not all of it, in this particular instance, was towards President Eyraud and not toward Villas-Boas, even if the results on the pitch have been middling at best, and the club on a major downswing of form. Following that, on Tuesday morning at the close of the winter transfer window, AVB conducted his bombshell press conference, and here's all that he had to say. Quote, the market finished with the arrival of a new player. I had nothing to do with this decision. I first knew about the signing via the press when I woke up. It was specifically a player, Olivier Necham, that I said no to. It was never a player on our list. He ended up coming. I wasn't aware. Because of that, I have presented my resignation to the board. I don't agree with the sporting policy. This decision is in relation to the team's needs and the player who arrived. We are yet to have been given a final response from the board. I don't want anything from the club or Frank. I don't want their money. I simply want to leave. Even on the departure of Nemanja, who left to Hertha BSC, I was informed only in the evening. The management asked me for a little time. I can help them with that. I have a lot of respect for Frank. I'm waiting for an answer. If it's no, we continue. I am bound by a contract. I am always responsible for the results for this group that I love. I repeat, I don't want anything from OM, I just want to leave. I was told that this humble gesture was appreciated by the management. I don't want to be fired, I only want to leave because of differences. I have a lot of respect for Jacques-Henri, but there they touched my professionalism, and it is not possible. The man is an open book. I really feel bad for Necham, by the way. Imagine being in his position. Your future, now past manager, I guess, was so incensed by your signing that you were the straw that broke the camel's back and he hands in his resignation. I mean, I'm sure he realizes that, just as I said, he was the straw that broke the camel's back. But still, that's rough. And also, Frank McCourt is the owner of Marseille, by the way, the former LA Dodgers owner, in case you were wondering who Frank was. And with these statements, coupled with everything he has said in the past, the inevitable comunicado oficial or communique officiel in Marseille's case, that Andre Villas-Boas had been sacked, or in technical terms, he had been suspended pending a sacking as they looked to enforce some disciplinary sanctions on Villas-Boas before cutting him loose. In Marseille's statement, they said, Olympique de Marseille announces the dismissal of Andre Villas-Boas. The decision became inevitable because of repetition of actions and attitudes which seriously harm the institution and its employees who defend it daily. Possible sanctions will be taken against Andre Villas-Boas following disciplinary proceedings. I mean, it seems like AVB got what he wanted. He was willing to walk for free, and in doing so, he got the sack, which should ensure, unless he has breached some other contractual clause, that he will indeed get paid to leave, pending disciplinary sanctions. Not sure what his contract will have said in that regard, though, so hey, take that for what it is. And that's where things stand at the moment. Following the news that he had been dismissed from the club, well, pending disciplinary sanctions, Villas-Boas was stopped by a fan in some media outlets as he was leaving Marseille's complex, and he had this to say, quote, I want to thank all of the supporters for their support. It was a magical year and a half. I am taking a lot of wonderful memories. It is a shame that things are ending this way, but it is like that. I really liked it here. You have a very special love for your club. I have learned to love the club in the same way as you, and I have always defended it. This, of course, incited more calls for the president of Marseille to step down, that's Jacques-Henri Eyraud. More calls from both fans and former presidents alike. That was the overriding sentiment of all of this. So we'll see what happens in regard to Marseille's current president, Eyraud, who has been with the club since 2016, actually, when McCourt bought the club. But two things are certain. This can't be the end of the drama at Marseille, and we will miss AVB and his honesty in his press conferences. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something new, be sure to drop a like for us so that the YouTube algorithm works its magic and it recommends it to other curious football fans. Beyond that, I thank you for watching. I'm Adrian, I love you, and take care. Ciao!